What's going on, guys? It's Johnny God, and you know what it is. You clicked on the video. It's a My Hero Academia Chapter 222 review. Now, before we get into the super depressing shit that happens in this chapter, let's lighten up the mood a little bit. Let's talk about the little humor we got between Toga and Dabi, where Dabi's like, you know what, you guys can go and fight that giant dude. I don't want to fight that guy no more. And basically Toga says that, you know, you're just salty, Dabi, that your fires don't work. And you know what, I find that completely hilarious. I just love it when Horikoshi adds in modern day slang into the My Hero universe. Like, for example, if you listen to that girl Kami talk, that girl Kami, that girl from Shiketsu High School, she basically talks with slang like all the time. She be saying like dead ass and shit like that, where she just sounds like she's from New York. But let's just finish it off with the humor shit, and let's just go straight into the depressing shit that happens in this chapter. Now, basically, in my opinion, this is one of the best chapters we had in a long time, just because of the fact that we got so much information, so much things to be hyped about. But first, let's talk about how we got more character development on Shigaraki, and we got to learn more about his past. Now, we basically seen the scene where All For One basically meets Shigaraki. We've seen this scene before, but basically the scene got expanded upon way more in this chapter. Now, let's start off by saying, you guys know the hands that Shigaraki carries around on his body? Well, basically, they're from his dead family members. Now, that's depressing as fuck, guys. Like, that gives a little, that makes Shigaraki more of an original character, because who does that, guys? Who do you know, or their villain costume is basically the dismembered parts of their old family members? Like who do you know who does that? Now, for me personally, guys, I thought the hands on his body, I thought they were purely just for him to look cool, guys. You know, I gotta be honest with you. I thought they were just for him to make him look like a badass. You know, the hand on his that he wears on his face that he calls father. Basically, I thought that was the only real hand basically on his body, but apparently every hand is basically from his old family members, which, you know, it doesn't really make sense for me that that's the case, because all the hands look exactly the same. All his hands look like they're grown ass people. I mean, not grown people, I mean grown men. So it's like, was all of his members in his family just grown ass men? And actually, that is not the case, because if you look into his, there's a scene where he's basically throwing up and he's freaking out. There's basically a little girl in the background. If you really zoom in, if you don't zoom in, you might even miss it. There's a little girl there. So it's like, okay, there's no little girl hands on his body. So it gets confusing a little bit. I think it would be more creepy and it would look way more weirder if like he had different hand sizes on his body. Like, for example, like maybe he has some male hands on his face, then he has some female hands, then he has some like kid hands on him. That would have been fucked up, but that would have even cement even deeper that it's some fucked up shit going on with Shigaraki. But basically, after learning that, basically, you know, we see All For One basically saying that he's going to teach him how to control the anger and put the anger into a ways where he can actually change the world. And it's a fucked up scene, because the scientists seeing that Shigaraki is fucked up in the head, he's freaking out, and basically the scientist is like, you know what, he's talking to All For One. He's like, should I fix this kid? Like, and All For One is basically like, no, you know, he'll use that to his advantage, all that pain and suffering to his advantage. Where I feel like that's fucked up, because the way I imagined All For One's relationship with Shigaraki is, I kind of imagined it as a innocent father-son relationship where the son is just taking up the family business. But in this scene, it kind of shows how All For One is kind of selfish in a way where he's basically letting this child basically carrying around all this trauma. I also forgot to mention that Shigaraki is the one to personally kill his whole family members. From what we've seen, that he seems to be freaking out, like that he learned that he killed his family members, and he's freaking out. So we also know that he came from an abusive family, but nevertheless he still loved his family to a degree. So that's good to know. Another major thing I want to talk about in this chapter is that the scientist, he says he's preparing some research for the League of Villains. Now, he's not talking about the high-end Nomus. He's not talking about that. What I think he's talking about something completely different. And whatever that is, I am very interested. I really want to know what the fuck is he talking about, because it seems like there seems to be like some hero upgrades. I mean, not hero upgrades. I mean some costume upgrades, because he said that the League is too weak as it is right now. And I really like the manga panel where he says that you're too weak, and then they have him they had the members of the League of Villains in the background, and I like how it's done like that, because it really does make it look like they're weak. They don't really seem like some seasoned villains. They really do look like some beginner villains, and I can understand why he's like, you know what, you guys are too weak for right now. You guys can't handle my equipment right now. So I really appreciate that. And this chapter ends off with basically, you know what, no. You know what, I skipped a major part right here. I want to talk about this fucking Nomu device where it's a fucking teleporter. It's a fucking teleporter, Nomu device, and it wears sneakers, it wears Jordans. Why? But whatever this device is, it's cool. It basically I would want one of these things, because I can basically teleport wherever I want. But basically, yeah, the chapter ends off with the League of Villains versus Gigant Majkacha. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I really don't know how to pronounce his name. Sorry, guys. Also, right after showing the League of Villains return to the battlefield, we get to see the Quark Liberation Army. Now, there's one last thing I want to talk about to end this chapter review off. Basically, there is a pile of meat. I don't even know what this is on the floor. I'm going to put up a picture. But whatever this shit is, it's on the floor. And I have no idea what it is. A few chapters ago, we saw we saw one of the members of the League of Villains basically being captured and basically being held ransom by the Quark Liberation Army. So what I presume is that whatever the thing is on the ground, it's that guy, and that guy is dead. And now, personally, if that's the case, I am kind of shocked. I'm kind of feeling for this guy's loss, because I liked his character. I liked how he was like a underworld broker in a way where he can get you the hookups on stuff you're not supposed to have. I'd be kind of disappointed if he just dies. I'll be kind of sad by that. And basically, that's it for this chapter. It's crazy, guys. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. This arc, it's crazy. But thanks for watching, guys. Johnny got off this bitch. I'm out of here.